Chapter 15, The First Kiss. I'm almost embarrassed to title a chapter The First Kiss, as if you haven't read 1,000 first kisses before, as if mine is somehow different, but I need to tell you why it was different, not because the kiss itself was unique, but because of what came before it and what it meant about being seen after that 4th of July weekend. Something shifted in me. I wanted to see Lynn every day, as much as possible. At work, I'd find myself thinking about what we might do that afternoon. It wasn't hard to imagine, because she lived across the street from the beach, in a house her mother and stepfather owned as their eventual retirement home. But I have to be honest, for the first several weeks, I carried doubts I couldn't quite name. When Lynn had told her co-worker, "No, we're just friends," after our first date, I was confused, as if I hadn't asked her out on a date. Looking back, I know that would be a natural reaction at the end of one date. Soon after that, we spent days together, and we'd been holding hands on the beach, sitting close together, looking at each other in ways that felt more than friendship. The nature of our relationship was undefined. We were letting it develop, letting something unfold between us without forcing it into words. Still, insecurities surfaced, ones I thought I'd left behind. When Kelta was alive, even while I still lived with my parents, I could call her, I could rest in her arms, let her hold me, and in those moments I'd feel a sudden sense of peace, of serenity, as if everything else faded and I could just exist without defending my right to be there. Then she died, and I was alone with my parents again. I don't have clear memories of every cruel thing they said. There were no direct insults. No one called me a loser to my face, but I felt it in the indifference, in the way my mother commented that I spent too much time in my room, as if my grief was an inconvenience rather than something worth acknowledging, in the way they showed no interest in why I was upset, no curiosity about what I'd lost, in the invalidation of my goals, the pressure to do other things, the persistent message that my happiness didn't matter. What does that do to a person? It chips away at the very things Kelta had helped me believe, that I was special, that I mattered, that I was someone another person would want to be close to. By the time I left that house and moved to Wilmington, I'd regained some ground. I'd taken the microphone at poetry readings. I'd eventually found the courage to ask Lynn out, but the insecurities, the negative self-talk, the low self-worth, those hadn't fully healed yet. I felt comfortable with Lynn, but I still wondered, was I someone she could see as a romantic partner? Was I someone this beautiful woman would choose to spend time with day after day? I'd call and suggest things I thought she might enjoy, things I'd learned about from our conversations. Want to go to the beach? I could pick you up at the art center when you're done with your pottery. Feel like grabbing burgers at PT's? She'd say yes, we'd go, and it would be good, quiet, easy, the kind of time that doesn't need performing. But I couldn't read her. Was she excited to see me the way I was excited to see her? Was something developing in her like it was in me? Could it develop? She didn't seem to need to be in a relationship. That's probably why she was available in the first place. And she was beautiful. I didn't want to push, but I felt something strong, and I wanted it to develop. I was looking for reciprocity. You are someone I want to get close to as much as you want to be close to me. This relationship is special. But I couldn't quite read it yet. She kept saying yes. She held my hand. She sat close. Those were signs, real signs, that made being with her feel good, that suggested this could grow into something romantic. But her enthusiasm seemed lukewarm, not cold, not disinterested, just measured, reserved. Maybe I was holding on to those signs because of how being with Lynn made me feel. Maybe I couldn't see past my own interest. Or maybe I was confused, seeing genuine interest on her part while carrying vague doubts that whispered that I wasn't special or someone that another person would want to call their own. That persistence, Lynn would later say, she was glad I had it. The uncertainty lived entirely in my head. I couldn't read Lynn's mind. I still can't, looking back. But at some point, I'm not sure exactly when, things shifted. Maybe it was a phone call that started with her asking, "What are we going to do today?" Maybe it was a day at the beach when she said, "I'll be at the art center working on my pottery later. Why don't you meet me there? I'll show you what I've been working on." Small things. But they told me something had changed. She was making space for me, expecting me, welcoming the rhythm we'd found. She was happy to see me. She enjoyed my company. It just happened. Closeness, desire, connection. And somewhere in there, I stopped wondering whether something was developing between us, because it already had. Our first kiss. It was one late afternoon in early August, serene. Peace would be paired with excitement. The sun shone behind us as we faced the ocean. We sat close, shoulders touching, legs stretched out side by side. I was on her right. I remember every fraction of a second of what happened next, and I need you to understand why I'm going to tell you about it this way, in such granular detail that it might seem strange. I once read about the neuroscience of hitting a baseball. A pitch traveling 90 miles per hour from the mound gives a batter only a few hundred milliseconds to decide whether to swing. It should be impossible. The conscious mind can't process information that fast, but the body knows. The body starts moving before thought catches up, sending signals to swing, then adjusting in microseconds based on information. The conscious mind hasn't fully registered yet. Does the pitch drop outside the zone? The body corrects. Does it stay in? The swing continues. It's not one decision. It's dozens of tiny adjustments happening faster than conscious thought. That kiss was like that. What I'm about to describe, the approach, the moment our lips first met, happened in maybe a 3 or 4 seconds total. But within those seconds were countless tiny movements, each one a question, each one an answer, each one confirming, yes, keep going, this is mutual, we both want this. Our eyes met, the awareness of others on the beach faded away. Our heads began to tilt, mine to the right, hers to the left. Small movements. Testing. We started moving toward each other, slowly, my body adjusting with each fraction of a second. I shifted my weight forward slightly. She didn't pull back. She moved closer too. I brought my hand across, reaching over to the sand on her left side for balance. As I leaned in, I looked at her, a question in that look. She kept moving closer, an answer. Our faces were inches apart now, neither of us hesitating, neither of us stopping, both of us continuing the motion we'd started together. Our lips met. In that same instant, her arms wrapped around me. I didn't need my hand on the sand for balance anymore. I let it rise and pulled her closer. She leaned in. The kiss itself lasted, mouths opening, arms tightening. It might have been a minute or more. It might have just felt that way. When we finally parted, our faces stayed close, mouths less than an inch apart, breathing the same air. The look we shared seemed to say what we couldn't speak aloud. We should find somewhere more comfortable for this. This wasn't one person kissing the other. This wasn't one person initiating and the other responding. This was something we did together, synchronized movements in fractions of a second, each tiny motion confirming the other's "I loved," that no one could say who kissed who, because we kissed. Years later, I'd hear people talk about consent, how we should ask for what we want, use our words, make intentions clear, and they're not wrong. Words matter, clarity matters. But I was still overcoming my shyness then. Saying I would like to kiss you would have been impossibly hard. and I'm glad it happened the way it did. Glad that our bodies could speak a language neither of us had to name aloud. Glad that consent could exist in those tiny movements, the tilting of heads, the moving closer, the not pulling back. Each movement, each moment communicated desire and consent on both our parts, not just mine, not just hers, ours. And just like that batter adjusting to a pitch, either of us could have stopped at any moment. The momentum wasn't unstoppable. It was made of dozens of tiny confirmations. Yes, yes, keep going. This is right. That's what made it mutual. I'd kissed someone before, about a year earlier, in another relationship that never went anywhere. My memory of it is vague now, just a sense that it felt good. But this was different. This wasn't just passion or affection. This was recognition. I liked Lynn. I felt comfortable around her. And because I was with someone special, the kiss felt different. Desire and affection mingled into something I didn't have words for then and barely have words for now, something that made sense of everything that had come before. That's how I knew. Not because someone told me, not because I had it all figured out, but because my body knew before my mind did. This person matters. This is different, and I wanted more.